Yo, what is going on, my future millionaire friends? It's your boy Jdun Trades with Team Bull Trading, and I hope you're all having an amazing day. We are live and back in action with another episode of the Team Bull podcast, where we bring on the best traders, the best entrepreneurs, and the most valuable people to help you learn and to help you make more money. Now, in this episode, we have a very unique and special guest. One of the craziest stories that I've personally ever heard. He is a published author, got his book right here. He is a millionaire day trader who also happens to trade with me live every single day inside Team Bull. He has amassed an incredible following of over 225,000 people across all social media. And might I add, he has over 1,000 free YouTube videos and he's almost at 50K, so make sure you go subscribe. He's an incredible entrepreneur and overall a very good friend of mine who I'm finally getting to meet in person. Thanks for coming to the show. Welcome, Brandon.
I appreciate you having me.
It's crazy. It's been such a long time coming. We've been working together for how long now?
Almost 2 years. I think in June. 2 years.
2 years in June. It's almost our 2-year anniversary.
I know. Crazy.
It's incredible. So throughout this, and especially at the end, we have a few surprises, a few crazy things you're not going to believe. This man has an incredible story. But I want to first start out with, hearing how do you go from, just Brandon, young Brandon to now millionaire trader, entrepreneur, published author, and I guess what's your story and how did you get to be where you are today?
Yes. So first off, I'm sitting in the seat where a bunch of other goats have sat. So shout out Gino, Grizzly, and Rake. But yeah, man, pretty much growing up, I went through school, really was not good at school at all. Graduated high school with like a 1.65, 1.85 GPA. And growing up, I always wanted to be a police officer. As I got older, I started to realize like this really is not what I wanted to do. Not getting political or anything, but cops started to get looked at differently. And that's not, the life that I wanted to live. So pretty much my escape was through trading. Tried a bunch of other things to bring in, more money, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But pretty much trading was that escape to not becoming a police officer.
In addition to that police officer story, which I want to go into because this is just insane, you were really close to becoming a cop at one point. Like you were really close, but you tell the story. What happened? Why aren't you a police officer right now?
Okay. So, what ended up happening was right out of high school, I was applying to be a cadet, which is what you would be before becoming an official police officer. So from like age, I think 18 to 21 is where you can be a cadet. So I went through the entire state police progress to get accepted. Now, during the lie detector test, they asked, I never smoked, never drank, never did anything bad. I was a very good kid.
Clean whistle.
Yes. The only thing that I did, because I was always about making money, this kid wanted me to sell him pee to help him pass his drug test. So this dude would pay me every single time to give him pee. So me wanting money, obviously, of course I did it. Why not? And so I would sell him my pee. He would pass his drug test. I got money. I'm happy. And that was the only thing on that lie detector test that popped up. And that was the reason why they denied me.
This man really went from trading pee and urine to trading stocks. If that's not something right there, from trading pee to millionaire trader, that is just out of this world. Never heard anything like it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's really cool seeing how something like that changed the whole trajectory of your life and led you to where you are today.
It's a blessing because if I got accepted, I wouldn't have had the time to put into trading at all.
And did you have any idea back when you were applying to the police academy or you were going through that? Did you have any idea about trading at that time? Had you ever heard of it? What was that thought process?
Yeah. So it's the way that I felt when I was applying for it is I didn't know trading could get to what it is right now. So I kind of felt stuck. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So I got to go through with this. I got to go through with it. And when I got denied, I was like, okay, thank God. I personally wanted to get denied. I don't know what I would have done if I did get accepted. So when I got denied, that's when I really was like, okay, this is my time to make this, full-time income.
It was just all or nothing basically at that point.
Pretty much, yeah. And I had plan B still. I was still in college, still doing law enforcement in college. So like if trading didn't work out, I had that plan B.
Yeah.
But thank God trading did work out.
And you're 24 years old now. When did you start first? Like, when did trading first come into your life? Whether you started like learning hardcore then, like when did you first start learning and hear about it? And like, how long have you been full-time trading now?
Yeah. So I first learned about it like pretty much right after high school is when I saw my first YouTube video, got introduced pretty much like everybody else. You go on YouTube, you see a video, I made this much money in this amount of time. Clicked on it, and of course it intrigued me because I didn't want to be a police officer. So started, watching some videos. It wasn't like super serious at first, but it was interesting. Was also doing drop shipping, which we're going to talk about that stuff here in a little bit. And then after I got denied, I think it was 2017. So that's when I was like, okay, let me start, really learning about this, open up a trading account, started small, flipped that account 270 into 10,000 fairly quickly.
You flipped your first trading account.
Yeah, I like telling this story.
Was it your first, right?
Yes, that was my first.
You flipped your first trading account from $270 to $10,000.
Yes. So, I mean, I never blew an account, which is, I feel like everybody says that they did blow an account.
I never did either. I was learning and I would add, but I never blew it to zero, restarted, which nothing wrong with blowing accounts.
Right. No.
It happens. I mean, obviously you don't want to blow a bunch of accounts. It's never a good thing losing money, but it's part of the process for, I've seen it happen to many traders. So sorry. Continue.
Yeah. So that 270 turned into 10,000, but then after that I lost half of it. So it just slowly depleted over time. I was taking stupid trades. It was kind of how everybody gets introduced, or when they first start trading, they make a lot of money at first, and then they slowly start losing it. So then once that happened, I took that step back and really focused on educating myself and slowly, taking trades. And then I fully took it full time late 2019, I would say. So years of learning and slowly taking trades. And eventually I was like, okay, I feel like I'm at the point where I can take it full time.
Man, the worst thing that could happen to a new trader, I say it all the time, the worst thing that could happen to a new trader is making a lot of money at the start.
Yes.
Like you saw happen with you. You turned 270 into 10,000, you're like, damn, I'm a genius. Warren Buffett, call me up, baby. I'm ready to make billions with you. And then most of the time, like you just said, you end up losing it.
Yes.
So what exactly did that first experience teach you? Because I think a lot of people are in your same boat. How do you get your confidence back from making that money to losing half of it and more than half of it to taking the right approach forward and learning and I guess taking the slow race, the marathon?
Going from that 270 to 10K, I saw how quick you could make that money. So I knew that it was possible to do it at a higher scale. I just needed that education. So once I really dived into the education, found mentors, and started developing a strategy that I fully understood, that's where I started to get that confidence and more motivation to come back stronger.
And that is the key right there. That is what separates people that come in, make that quick buck, give it up, and then get defeated and quit, versus the people who make it. And actually, on the back of your book, The New Age of Technical Analysis by Brandon Rosewag, my boy right here, in fine print, it says, it's not over when you lose, it's over when you quit. And the problem with a lot of people in trading is that you come in, you make a little money, maybe you don't make any money at all at the start, and you take those big losses, and it really, really frustrates you. It's really damn hard to lose.
Yes.
And so what you're basically saying is that instead of, getting discouraged, saying this is a scam, I'm walking away, you realize, if I can do 270 to 10K, with what I know now, what can I do with real education? What can I do with, real time put in the market?
Real education and time, yeah. I mean,
it
you're
sounds,
living proof.
Yeah, and it sounds like you took that and, you ran with it. So what, I guess when you first, after that point, did you go and buy a bunch of courses, 4 or 5 years ago? Did you, study YouTube University? What was your course of action? What were the steps you took?
Yes. So books, I think, really helped me the most, because the reason why I do YouTube now is because at those earlier stages when I was learning, it was very basic stuff. RSI, MACD, buy my course.
God,
That's it.
MACD,
Yes.
buy my course MACD, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, so I told myself once I got to the point where I felt comfortable teaching people, I would just provide so much value. So to answer your question, a lot of books. I didn't really buy too many courses back then. Yeah, books, reliable YouTubers at the time, but a majority of the information from books. Yeah. And again, mentors.
And did you have any books that like you still read to this day that still have an impact on you? Like,
I started reading a lot of trading psychology books nowadays. I say this now. I feel like earlier in my trading career, I really neglected the overall trading psychology. I was just purely technicals. And then as I continued to trade, I was like, I need to get my psychology right. So nowadays, a lot of trading psychology, but do you want me to list some good books?
Sure. Yeah.
Technical analysis of the financial markets, candlesticks and pivot point trading triggers, how to day trade for a living. Is that what it's called? Advanced day trading strategies and techniques.
Mental Game of Trading. You've read that by Jared Tendler?
Yes. Trading psychology for that one. Volume price analysis. The Daily Trading Coach. That's an amazing book.
New Age Technical Analysis by Brandon Rosewag.
Trading in the Zone. So many good ones. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I think too, my biggest thing about trading psychology is this. I think that all those books are great. I think trading psychology work is great, and we'll see if you agree, maybe you don't. I think that one of the biggest aspects of trading psychology that people overlook is being confident in your technical skills, because how are you supposed to build solid psychology on crap skills? If you don't know what you're looking at in the market, if you don't have conviction behind your strategy, if you aren't confident in your setups, like how are you going to build solid psychology in yourself?
Yeah, I completely agree. You need to have that proven profitable strategy, and then you build that psychology on top. Yes.
Yes, you build that discipline and you build that psychology. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So something else I wanted to touch on now that we're talking all things trading. Did you always trade options and equity? Did you ever trade Forex? Did you ever trade anything else? Like
Forex, yes. Love to trade some Forex, but mainly options. Yeah, I wasn't too big on the equity. Like I'll do an equity trade every once in a while, but it's got to be something so specific like HUT. Yeah. But yeah, I would say 95% of my trades are options.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to get to, how you trade options, some indicators you use. You have one in particular that you really like. We're going to go over later. But I want to talk about your Forex journey first, because you started Forex before options, right?
No.
Maybe? No?
No.
After?
Yeah, it was after.
Okay, because I watched you for a while, and I saw you make some decent money trading Forex. Mm-hmm. Why did you venture into that world? Like, what was, like, honestly, it's like a foreign language to me. Mm-hmm. Every Forex person I've seen on YouTube is like, just screams, I'm a scammer, tattoo it on the forehead. So, like, I've never really gotten into it, but, you know what you're talking about. You know what, like, pips and lots. You were telling me about this in the car. Mm. So, like, what made you want to trade some Forex on the side?
Yeah, so, I mean, mainly, I love swing trading. Right, swing trading, I can look at a chart and just from the higher time frame perspective, I can just tell where price is going. So I love swing trading. And when it comes to Forex, it is purely technicals on Forex. You can't necessarily day trade it, but swing trading Forex is so easy to understand the overall price action. That's why I started to trade it. But yeah.
And you said you love swing trading. It's funny because in my phone, I pulled up right here. You probably can't see it. Your name is still Brandon Rosewag, Swing King.
Yes.
To this day, it's still Swing King, because when we first met, like you were doing a lot of swing trading.
Yeah, when I first joined Team Bull, it was like pretty much all swing trades. Yeah,
all swing trades, which is completely opposite of what I do. I love day trading. Listen. Swing trading's great. If you're good at it like Brandon, it can be amazing. It's obviously amazing for people in Team Bull to come learn from it and get that different perspective. I like to sleep at night and keep my hair normal colored, so I can't put on size overnight and wake up like all jolly and happy, so it's not for me. But this is a two-part question. What made you want to get into swing trading? And then I want to transition to how we met. And, when you first joined Team Bull, you were only swing trading. I want to get into that whole area of your life because I think it's very beneficial for people to hear.
Yeah, so the main reason why I gravitated towards swing trading was just because I was going to college full time and I was working full time. So I didn't have that time to sit there in front of the computer and just day trade every day. So if I wanted to get that repetition in of trading, swing trading was my go-to thing.
And it's when we're in a swing trading market, like when we're in a nice trend up or trend down, not the kangaroo market that we've seen on occasion in the past, 6 months, year. Swing trading is so just so nice for people that, work a full-time job. Maybe you're a nurse from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. so you can't watch the market. Well, you can look at higher time frames. You can set that hard stop, set that take profit, and, let your trade and your money work for you, which is what you've been phenomenal at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and going back to the Forex thing, I mean, Forex is open 24 hours. It opens Sunday, and then it closes Friday. But between those, it's 24 hours. So if you're somebody who works a full-time job and you want to swing trade, Forex is perfect.
So basically you're saying with Forex, when I'm trading in the stock market, I can be stressed from 7:30 to 2 Mountain Time. But Forex, you can get 24 hours a day of stress.
Well,
I'm totally kidding.
I know. With Forex, you can put your stop loss and your take profit in. Which, if you're, and it's open 24 hours. If, let's say we swing trade Boeing, right? I was thinking about swing trading Boeing last night or yesterday.
I'm going to kick you off this podcast.
But listen.
You better be careful with those words.
You know what's funny is I was watching Boeing for a swing trade in my channel, Don't Tell Jdun. And yesterday they came out about something about not making as many airplanes and they gapped down I think it was like $10, $15. So thank God I didn't take that. But with Forex, because it's open 24 hours, you don't have that overnight gap where you can't get out. You know what I mean? So with Boeing, you wouldn't have been able to sell till today, which it probably would have been zero. Forex, you could have sold as soon as it started coming down.
That's literally what happened to me, dude. I took a way too big of a swing trading position on Boeing years ago. Woke up to negative 10. It was negative 12,000 or something. Negative 10, 11, 12. It was a lot of money for me back at the time. Still a lot of money, but back when 10,000 was a lot of money for me years ago. Woke up on a swing trade, just got crushed. Negative 5 figures on Boeing. So to this day, I refuse to trade it.
Yeah, you wanna talk about that one swing trade I had on my honeymoon real quick? While we're speaking about swing trades gone wrong. Do you remember the one?
Sure. Which one?
It was CLR. Remember I was on my honeymoon. I was like, we gapped up off of buyout news. I'm going to cash out. I'm going to go enjoy my honeymoon. We were in I think it was $75 calls or whatever it was. This company got buyout news. It gapped up overnight. I'm telling everybody in the Discord, we're going to sell. We should be up 100%. Because I've never been in a situation like that where they get buyout news. The buyout, if I remember correctly, was 74.23. And because we had the 75 calls before the market opened, I said, all right, everybody get ready to sell. It opened. I look at my contracts, and it's negative 100%. And I'm like, and it was the first day of my honeymoon. That Monday, I was like, shit, that sucks.
I'm not laughing about you losing money. It's just we look back and we look at these losses as we can laugh now, right? Yes. I remember that day though. I remember that day you were everyone in the chat, the people that took the swing with you were Dan Brandon, you called this perfect. We gapped up a few bucks, whatever. Life is good. We're about to be eating some lobster and steak tonight. Opens up with the price up, just zero.
Yeah.
Damn, back to ramen.
Yeah. Yeah. Those first few hours on the honeymoon wasn't fun, but
and two points I want to make on that. Point one is this is why I always say that I will never trade on a birthday, on a obviously we can't trade on holidays because the market's closed, but on any, important day to you, if your mental is not there, anything that you, a job interview, whatever it is, if you have an important event going on, please, for the love of God, do not trade.
Don't trade on your honeymoon.
Yeah. Also don't trade on your honeymoon because if it goes wrong, it can go very, very wrong. And number two, is that when you're swing trading, you have to basically size for if something drastic happens like that. So, for you were probably fine. It sucked, obviously getting 100% loss, especially when you're hyped. Especially when you're hyped, damn, I'm about to be feasting lobster and steak instead of ramen, right? So, the point of that is that you size yourself correctly. I see a lot of people swing trading, even myself years ago, that oversize on swings, and when it goes against them, it can very much so wreck you and cause havoc on your trading account.
Yes.
So 2 key rules of swing trading, well, just trading in general, is 1, being careful about trading on your honeymoon or, any key events, and 2, over leveraging. Both things you don't want to do. So I also want to talk about, I mentioned this before, we didn't always know each other. You were trading, on your own for a while, and you were actually part of a different Discord group or team before we met.
Yes.
So what was your trading experience like before Team Bull? And I guess where were you at up until we met? And then we'll go into that whole, what happened there. It's pretty cool.
Yes. So first off, I will say Team Bull absolutely changed the way that I trade. You guys are very motivating. And the way that you guys trade, I didn't even know was like possible. Like seeing, bro, in the last 2 years I've known you, you've gone from $2,000 a day to what'd you make yesterday? Like a ridiculous amount.
A lot.
Yeah. But yeah, bro, you guys have completely changed how I trade. Very motivating. You guys grind really hard, so it motivates me to continue to grind. But yeah, I was doing my own thing before Team Bull. It was me and a few other people. We had our own Discord group, and those people weren't motivating me. They were actually bringing me down, and it was hurting my trading. So I was doing TikToks for a while at that point. I had a good amount of following. You had a good amount of following, which when I started TikTok...
You had more followers than I did. I reached out to you. I slid
into your DMs.
You slid in my DMs.
Yes.
You did.
Yes. But when I started TikTok, I didn't want to start TikTok at first. I was like, why would I do a TikTok? That's so dumb. And my girlfriend at the time, was like, I bet you there's people that make stock content on TikTok. And then she followed 3 people, one of them being you, another one being Ashton, and then someone named Mike or something like that. So I was like, all right, I'll start. But yeah, fast forward, I slid into your DMs I was like, bro, I do my own thing. I have my own Discord, but the people I'm working with, they're not motivating me to become a better trader. It's actually hurting my trading. And, we talked a little bit, and then I hit you up on Instagram, and then we talked a little more, and you were like, come try out Team Bull. And I think it was June of, what year is this? 2023. So I think June 2021, I think is when I joined.
And I'm currently sitting here scrolling back on our Instagram messages, trying to find where we first started. But a point that you just made is so important. Not only in trading, especially in trading, but not only in trading, who you surround yourself with. Your network is your net worth, right? You want to be surrounded by, if you want to make it trading, who do you want to be surrounded by? People that really make money, really make millions, really make hundreds of thousands trading and can prove it, who can show you, who can motivate you. There's so much, and we're not here to talk drama. We're not here to talk, crap on anyone, but there is a lot of crud in our trading industry.
Yes.
You've seen it. I've seen it. If you're watching this, you've probably seen it. And, just to get you on the team and just like to scroll across your content instantly, I was like, damn, this dude is so smart. Like, this dude has a brain of Einstein. And so it was super cool, like scrolling your content, seeing you message me, like us connecting. And we both shared that same vision for teaching people. Mm-hmm. We both shared that same vision for helping people learn, for being transparent in our trading, and for building something that was, more than just, hey, look at my profit. Like, we both had the same mission with it, which I think is just awesome.
Right. I agree.
So I think too, and I'm looking back here, I'm trying to find where these messages go way, way back. Like,
yeah, bro,
it was mostly just us sending each other different content and ideas and helping each other grow. I'll find it in a second. But what would you say, like, after you joined Team Bull, do you remember like your first days there, like how you were feeling, like,
Bro, it's a completely different environment because the Discord that I was doing, again, we're going to go into this, but I was reselling back in the day, shoes, clothes, pools, coins, all that good stuff. So it was like that environment from the reselling environment over to this trading group, just wasn't a really good environment. You guys were strictly trading and like serious about this stuff. So that environment just blows any other environment.
And hold the front door. You said you went from reselling to trading. Like, you were in the same group. Just a bunch of resellers decided that trading was easy or something, and they wanted to start trading.
They were also traders, so they like branched off. Yeah. There were select traders, and then they decided to start it, and yeah.
Okay, and so I guess what, like you said, they were bringing you down. How were these people bringing you down, and what was something you had to do to overcome that? Like you said, the people around you were dragging you down,
Mm-hmm.
and some people might relate to this. Maybe not from a Discord group, but from family members. Like putting down your trading, putting down your dreams. Like I think it can be a very broad accepted concept. How were these people bringing you down, and how did you keep your head up, and how did you keep like your straightforward trading mission alive?
Yeah, I don't necessarily know how to word like how specifically they were bringing me down. It was just like very negative interactions, if that makes sense. And it was building a lot of unneeded stress. So it got to the point where I was just like, yeah, I gotta get out of this. And that's, again, why I hit you up.
That's awesome. And I found some of our first messages.
There we go.
You messaged me on TikTok first, I believe.
Yes.
And then I messaged you first. I slid into your DMs on Instagram. I was like, "Sup, G?" We talked, whatever. And I basically was like, "Yo, I know." I said, "I know you got your own thing, but if you're ever looking to join forces, join the same team, always looking to add solid people like you to the team, bro. 100 emoji. Keep grinding." And from then on, you were just like, "Yep, of course, bro. Let's get to it." And
now we're here.
Happily ever after in a podcast room together 2 years later.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So more on your trading. There was one thing you told me earlier. Actually, hold on. We got a really fun thing to talk about first. Before your biggest win, your biggest loss, as many of you know, you follow me on Instagram, Jdun_trades. You follow other traders. You hopefully follow him at Carhorns. You've seen all the fake accounts that ask, and they're like, "Hey, hello, how are trades?" All that stuff. There was one time, as your following got bigger, you have over 40,000 on Instagram now, so your Instagram steady been growing pretty fast. There was one time you were chilling at your house, whatever, and you get a knock on the door, and it's the police.
Yes.
Can you tell us that story and what happened?
Yeah. So, pretty much this dude got scammed for $6,000 by a fake me. And me and my wife, at the time girlfriend, were watching a movie. I see the sheriff pull up in the driveway, and I'm thinking something must have happened with a family member, because that's the last thing I would have thought a cop was coming to my house for. So he's sitting in the car for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, what the hell is this dude doing? So eventually he knocks on the door. He's like, "Are you Brandon Rosewag?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "We got a call from a guy saying that you scammed him for $6,000. I was like, "Well, did he pay through crypto?" He said, "Yeah, the guy sent him Bitcoin over Cash App."
Oh, no.
I was like, "Okay, let me break this down. I have a lot of fake accounts. What I do, I'm a day trader. I have social media presence, YouTube, Instagram, and there's all these fake accounts that go out and they try to scam these people. And they say, we'll either trade for you or we'll teach you." And I mean, he was there for probably like 30 minutes, but all he had to do was, one, verify that it wasn't me DMing this guy, and I showed him my Cash App, and then the Cash App that the guy sent the money to is like, "All right, well, I guess you're good." But I was scared because it was two cops coming to the house, and that's the last thing you want.
Well, and it's like you look outside, and okay, cops are outside, and they come up and they're like, "Hey, you stole $6,000 from someone." You're like, "Oh, well, was it Brandon Rosewag !!" Like, yeah, actually was. Like, really? You think that was me?
Yeah.
Seriously? Or for you, it was your at Carhorns, because that's your Instagram name. Which, speaking of which,
talk about that.
Just while we're here, we should talk about this too. Why is your name Carhorns?
Yes. So, Jake, who makes our thumbnails on YouTube, shout out Jake. I promise I would shout him out.
We have the same thumbnail guy. He put me on, and that's who's going to make the thumbnail that you probably just clicked on. So, shout out Jake.
Yes. So me and him met a long time ago playing Call of Duty. Fast forward, he started doing Instagram. They were called text post accounts, is what they were called. I don't even know how to describe them, but if you guys know what a text post account is, you know what I'm talking about. Pretty much, you would just post a screenshot of, I don't even know how to word it. It was just like literally a sentence. It was so stupid, but people, they loved those accounts. Jake started growing a huge account. It had like over 100,000 something followers. So I got into it, and I ended up losing that account. I grew it to, I think it was like 10, 20K followers. And I hired somebody to be on the back end to kind of help with it. And they stole the account. So when I went to recover the account, I put in my email and they sent me the link to reset the password. And it sent me this Instagram account called Car Horns. So I was like, all right, I guess it's mine now. And then it just became my personal Instagram. And then I just never switched it, and Car Horns ever since.
Dude, honestly, when I first met you, bro, like for a long time, I was like, why the hell is his name Car Horns? Then I thought it was because you liked cars and you liked like different horns.
You want to know what's funny is so many people ask me, they're like, are you a car guy or do you just not know how to spell Car Horns? I was like, that's just how the Instagram account came.
Dude, I was literally like, this guy is really smart and he's a good trader, but like, is he like super weird or something? Like he likes car horns. I know car guys and girls. I know people who like cars, but like I've never met someone who's like, oh damn, you hear that horn? That's some A+ sound right there.
Right.
Never met someone, so it was crazy to me. And I think that to some extent, like, does that name just kind of like resonate with you? Like it's like OG to you. That's why you've kept it.
I mean, were you big into Modern Warfare 2, like trick shotting back in the day?
Oh,
I'm a nerd out in a second.
My middle name was Call of Duty growing up.
Okay. So me and Jake back in the day used to trick shot a lot on Modern Warfare 2. Pretty much spin around in circles and try to shoot people, right? So the thing was to have an OG name, like a one-word OG name. And Car Horns fit that OG name. So that's why I kept it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted. Well, yeah. It's a part of your journey, which translates, to your trading journey too, and we love it.
Yes.
So back to your trading. I want to go into some of your strategy stuff and some things that could help everyone listening to this. You swing trade. You used to swing trade primarily. Mm-hmm. You've gone from swing trading to day trading. Mm-hmm. What is something that you do? Like you talk a lot about how you use fibs. You use a few indicators. When you've been trying new strategies, when you've been trying to find new things that work, what's your process on trying a new strategy, and what's been your process on basically going from never day trading to becoming a consistently profitable trader while day trading?
Pretty much trial and error is what the day trading came down to, and different market environments. So 2020, I mean, was fairly easy. Trade the downside during the market crash, and then we reversed. It was pretty much straight up. So that was fairly easy. And then I joined Team Bull, and you guys were trading orbs all the time. I had no idea what an orb was. So I asked you one day in the live voice, and you explained it to me. And then obviously my TTM squeeze, over the span of a few weeks, I started to notice, squeeze is saying we're going to fire up. We have this orb right here. And that was my go-to strategy that entire time. And it worked so good until, when did we start chopping? I think it was like November 2021 or something like that, when we started going sideways, and it stopped working. So then I had to adapt to a different strategy.
And how'd you deal with that? When things changed, how'd you adapt mentally, and not even just mentally, like what was your actual process? Like, what did you do? Market, you notice, hey, this didn't work on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What are you doing in that next Monday?
Yeah, so it's kind of just playing around with different things and going back and back testing. Just like the fibs, bro, one day, like I knew how to use fibs. I just never used them intraday. It was just a higher time frame. And then one day I randomly just drew them on my chart. I was like, all right, let's look for a pullback to the 50 or 61.8. Pull back to the 61.8. We bought calls and it literally exploded. And I was like, holy shit, that was pretty cool. And then we did it the next day and I was like, oh my God, there's probably a strategy, around these fibs. So what did I do? I went back, I back tested, spent so much time back testing it, and then trial and error and developing rules around the fibs. And that's pretty much how we came to the strategy, my fib strategy today. But there were also, other strategies, trial and error. And it was sticking to the one that was the highest probability, which was the fibs.
I like that. So basically you went in likely with super light size. You tried something, for example, the fibs. You tried, drawing from, point A to point B once. You saw it worked. You tried it again. You saw it worked. You tried it, let's say, 8, 10 times in a row. You saw, hey, this works 6, 7, 8 times out of 10. This is something that I want to keep applying and learning to. So when you do that, then you just take maybe one contract then build up to 2. What was, and that's what I would recommend for beginners. What did you do? Like, what was your, like at the time back switching to day trading, or even maybe now, like, how do you deal with your contracts and your position sizing when you're trying new things, and how do you build confidence in that?
Yeah. So pretty much with the fib strategy that I have right now, if we go into a trading day, right, I like the higher time frame fibs. So if I don't see a higher time frame fib, I know it's not that high probability. So I'll probably use a little smaller size. But also, again, going back testing, recording my trades, reviewing the recorded trades, and just having this list of what I like to look for in the fibs. There's certain criteria that I've noticed that is the highest probability. And when I see that, that is when I go my heaviest. If it's a little like lower probability, like maybe out of the 5-6 things I look for, we only have 3 or 4, I'll go lighter size. And I look at trading when it comes to contract sizing and position sizing in terms of probabilities. So when the probabilities are on my side, that's when I go heaviest.
And something you mentioned, you've told me this before too. You record all your trades.
Yes.
Correct? And you go back and you watch your execution in real time.
Yes.
How has that helped you? Is that something that's really impacted your trading? Has it not really? Like, tell us about that.
Yes, because you know this. When the market, if you're watching a 5-minute, 1 minute, whatever it is, level 2, when it's happening in real time, it seems like it is moving so quick. But if you go back and you watch your recorded trade, I promise you the market really is not moving as fast as it seems at that point. So let's just say I get into a position and I think I see a large seller on the bid, kind of just sitting there, or on the ask, on the level 2, my bad. And I sell my position, right? And it just rips in my favor. I can go back and look at that recording and be like, oh, well, on the bids, those buyers overtook that seller, that one seller that was sitting there. So yes, recording my trades, going back, maybe I saw an entry at one spot, I took it and it was a losing trade, and I go back and I watch the recording and I was like, there was no entry there. Why? There was no reason to take the trade.
And not only does, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, or a missed trade. Like if I hesitate for a second and I miss the entry, I can go back and I can watch it and be like, well, this is why I should have taken the trade. That was the confirmation. And it's building that repetition. And Jared Tendler talks about it in his book, that repetition, right? If you just simply take a trade, that's 1 repetition. You record it, you go back, that's 2 repetitions. So
that's it. And I think that alone right there will speed up the learning curve for so many new traders. Mm-hmm. Like, just imagine, like, you go back and you not only get to watch how you executed in real time, you will also get to maybe see potential setups you might have missed, or, when you hesitate, setups you missed intentionally, right? That you knew were there, you hesitated, and you get to build the why. Why did I miss that setup? Why didn't I execute? Well, let's go look at the price action in real time. Let's go look at what happened in real time versus, our memories are, great for some things. They're great for names and remembering birthdays and, your favorite, pina colada flavor, whatever, but they're not very good for keeping strict tabs on things that are meticulous, like trading, like anything that requires such fine detail. So by doing that, I love that you said that. I love that you said that, because I think it could not only help traders, but also take a lot of time off that learning curve, which everyone wants to know. Everyone wants to know, Jdun, Brandon, how long to be a consistently profitable trader? Well, it really depends on you, right? How much time you put in. Mm-hmm. Are you sitting there back testing every day? Are you, because you could, like, you and I could be trading for 2 years. Let's say you are recording every trade. You're taking the time. You're on time to market open every single day. You're reading every day. Your 2 years is going to be different than my 2 years. If I'm sitting there, I'm coming 3 days a week to market open. I'm, not paying attention. I'm checking my phone every 5 minutes. I'm not back testing. Like, we could trade the same 2 years, and you're going to have 5 years of experience at the same time I have 2. Mm-hmm. So, which leads me to, I know that was a little rant, but very helpful. How long did it take you to become consistently profitable? That's something everyone always wants to know.
Consistently, I would say around that 1.5 to 2 years. Now, again, when I started trading, I was working minimum wage, right? So it's not like I had to make $500 to $1,000 a day at the beginning to, make it my full-time income. What I was focused on was making how much I was making at my job and just doing that slow over time consistently. So around that 1.5 to 2 years is when I started to see the consistency. And then after that, it was slowly building position size, finding new strategies, and furthering my education. Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I too was working for minimum wage multiple times. The cheapest, I believe, was $7.25 an hour.
Mine was $8.25 at Pizza Hut.
Nice.
Or no, it was $8.
$8. I was Popeyes, so
nice.
You were a big pizza guy, I was a big chicken guy. And I had that same-ish mindset. Now, when I first started learning to trade, I was still on Team Jimmy John's. I was actually making decent money working at Jimmy John's. I still to this day talk about that job in a very high praise. I was flipping them sandwiches more than you can believe. Freaky fast, baby. The point being, I had that same mindset of like, okay, I'd be working a job for 10, 12 an hour. If I can even make 20, 50 bucks a day, for me, that's going to be a great start. And honestly, for me, I want to hear this from you too. When I first started trading, my goal was never to make 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 a day. Honestly, I knew that one day I could get to $500 to $1,000 a day. I literally refused not to get to $500 to $1,000 a day. I was willing to cut off my left arm, to lose nights of sleep. Failure was not an option for me. I knew I'd get to $500 to $1,000 a day, and I was willing to do anything to do it. Finally, eventually got there, and obviously built more. But my mindset wasn't. The whole point I'm trying to make from this was my mindset wasn't, I need to start and immediately make 5, 10 grand a day. That's just not realistic.
What's funny is after I grew that 270 to that 10,000, kind of took that step back. Because I just moved into my dream house, which I guess we can talk about as well. But
shout
I found
trading.
Yes, shout out trading. I found this old note card that I would keep right under my monitor. It said $500 to $100 a day keeps the job away. And I looked at it and I was like, holy shit. Like that blew my mind to see that's what I used to aim for. But
dude, it's crazy. It reminds me a lot of, I have some old notebooks. I used to just manually, every single day I'd have a little P&L box. I'd have my watch list for the morning of what I was watching. Let's say Tesla over this, Apple over this, under this. I would write down my psychology after the market closing. I would write down all of this stuff. I still have the notebooks to this day. And even on days where it said like $27 P&L, I'd write down like executed great today, made an extra $27. I'm so happy. And to look at that to now, having $27,000 plus days, biggest being almost 90,000, is just like, wow, I went from $27 days to $90,000 days. And like, I really relate to that, what you just said. And it's just such a good feeling. Mm-hmm. So moving on to something else that I wanted to ask you about. I want to talk about two things. What is your biggest loss and what is your biggest win?
All right, let's start with the biggest win first. I got a live login of this. It was 33,000. I had an issue trying to sell it because it was so deep in the money and the spreads were so wide. But it was on GME. It wasn't the first time that GME blew up. It was the second time. I refused to trade it the first time. But the second time it blew up after that huge move up that it had, it came down and it consolidated right above the 100-day SMA. So I was like, okay, this risk to reward looks excellent. The contracts are cheap enough. Let's try a position. And then literally it exploded to the upside. And those contracts were so deep in the money, ridiculous. I will say that trade was a little lucky because I didn't expect a move like that. I was expecting, 50, 100%, but that was like right under 1,000%.
You went in with like $4,000, right?
Yes. And the stop loss was right under the 100-day SMA. So I wasn't even risking 50%.
You turned $4,000 into $33,000.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
That is stupid.
Yes.
That's awesome. And at the time, you kept that money because you were on a good path of knowing what to do. Mm-hmm. What I saw a lot and what you saw a lot too as being a teacher is there's people that made 10, 20, 30 grand on GME. I knew someone that made 109 grand and lost every penny. Mm-hmm. You kept your money. Mm-hmm. which I think is just phenomenal because many didn't in the AMC, GameStop, apes forever, hodl thing.
Yeah,
right?
and kind of having that experience again, going back to the 270 to the 10,000 and then losing half of it, I withdrew most of the money, most of that profit, just because I had that experience before. And I was like, all right, I should probably pay myself from this.
And you paid yourself. That is awesome to hear. So many traders, especially if you're new, you need to be paying yourself. Please, for the love of God, pay yourself. Even if you make $100 in a week, me and Rake talked about this. Pay yourself $50. Why? Because it implements good habits. It implements, hey, this is money that is safe now. I can't give this back on tilt. I can't give this back trading like an idiot. So I think that's super cool to hear that you not only made that money, but you paid yourself out of it and secured that money for yourself.
Yes.
So you made $33,000 there. Where'd you lose money? What was your biggest or most painful loss?
I've had a few. One of them being that one on the honeymoon. That was tough. That was a little over 2,000. So that one kind of hurt. Biggest loss was around 4.5K on it was either D, which is a utility stock, which I refuse to trade them anymore. I'm literally 1 in 12 on utility stock swings. So it was either D or DUK. They're both utilities. I had credit spreads. That's when I was messing around with credit spreads, trading a squeeze to the upside. I would have the credit spreads to the downside. And if the squeeze fired up, I would make the money off of the credit spreads. And then I had calls to the upside. Stupid, because then the squeeze fired down. I just got screwed.
I remember that day too.
Yeah.
It just that literally the day that you took that trade, they had news or something. Right? Something. They gapped down massively.
Utilities are they're very, what's the word? Not corrupt, but
manipulated?
Yeah, manipulated. There we go. By the government. So that's why I don't trade them anymore.
And if you're not, you look at that, you said you were 1 in 12 on them. You realize that. Why would I trade something I'm 1 in 12 on? And that's honestly good for you to say. It's good to hear because a lot of people are sitting here listening to this and you're sitting there trying to trade 0 DTE SPY and you're 1 in 15 in the last 16 trades. Maybe you should stop trading 0 DTE SPY. Maybe? I don't know. But no, seriously, you need to take accountability for your trading. Mm-hmm. We both preach that all the time. You took accountability. You're like, damn, I suck at trading utilities. I'm not going to do it anymore. You stick to your strong suits. For me, I suck at BA. I suck sometimes at certain individual stocks. Microsoft, we don't say that word either. I don't trade them. I have emotion with them. So I think it's a really key point and really cool that you admit that. You're like, damn, I suck at trading utilities. I moved on to what I'm good at.
Yep. I
think a lot of traders would benefit from that, sticking to what you're good at. And if you're bad at something, be gone with it, Mm-hmm. So another lesson I think that could help traders here, because now we're on the topic of trading and big trades and little trades. $38,000. Does that number ring a bell to you?
38,000.
Robinhood.
Oh, we just talked about this. Yes.
Yeah. So I think this is a really good lesson for people to hear too, newer traders. Brandon, what importance does $38,000 in Robinhood have to you?
So I opened up a SPY 380 call in my long-term portfolio on Robinhood. Forgot about it. It came to expiration date. And kind of forgot about it. Expired very deep in the money and got the I got the contract exercise on me and had to pay $38,000 and then sell it the following Monday. I have the screenshot of the call being exercised too. So that was a little scary. I had to call Robinhood too. I was freaking out about that.
So you had to buy the shares and then sell them.
Yes.
I bet you were you probably opened your phone. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah. I got the email and everything. It says, hi, Brandon, 380 call exercised. Thanks.
You lost 38,000.
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't even imagine.
Bro, that sucked.
Especially
and you guys were making jokes. Oh, we're going to gap down $40 on Monday.
Yeah, we were. Hey, it was all out of love. It was all out of Team Bull love, right?
I appreciate you guys.
That's seriously a good lesson to have, because if you want to, you need to pay attention to when your expiration dates are, right? Especially if you're in the money, which is a good problem to have. You want to be in the money. That means you made money. if you're expiring worthless, then you don't have anything to worry about. You lost 100%.
Yeah.
But if you're in the money, you don't want that option to exercise.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to owe the money for the shares, because that's actually what options were invented for. They were invented as a hedge. They were invented as a long-term option to purchase those shares with like a riskier bet, right? So you don't want to let those expire in the money unless you want the shares. Now, there is different strategies. People will, do covered calls, cash secured puts, stuff like that. But if you're just trading options to, make money off the premium, right? The premium is moving up, you selling, premium is moving down, etc. If you're an option seller, you don't want to be exercising your options. So looking through your book too, this is a meaty book, right?
Yes.
And you're from Maryland. You guys got meaty crabs, so it makes sense. You got like 400 plus pages in this thing.
451, I think.
What was the motivation for you? Like, when did you know you were ready to write a book to help people learn? And like, it's such a broad book. Like, what do you think the most valuable parts of your book are? Not asking you to try to sell it. I'm just genuinely saying, like, what are your most valuable teachings, and like, what should someone take from you learning from Brandon?
Yeah, so the motivation behind the book was technical analysis of the financial markets has always been looked at as like the holy Bible of trading, which that's an amazing book, and I highly suggest getting it. I first off wanted the book because I had so much content on YouTube and Instagram. I wanted to make it official. You know what I mean? Like, officially, my name is on a book. Like, that's a huge accomplishment.
Huge.
So I just sat down and I just started writing everything I could think about of my strategy. Now, the goal of the book isn't for people to go and copy that exact strategy. It's for them to go back test. Maybe you like the SMAs that I use. Maybe you like the EMA stack that I use. Maybe you like the TTM squeeze. Any of that. Back test it, figure out what works for you, and then implement that in your strategy. And then maybe they can go and learn something from you, maybe from Grizzly, GD, and then implement that. And they take a piece of all of our strategies and make it their own.
And that's the whole point of, you teach on the Mastermind. I teach on the Mastermind. That's the whole point of that, right? Is learning different types of things. Maybe you read this book, Brandon's book. Maybe you read Technical Analysis for Dummies, right? Maybe you read Volume Price Analysis. You read and get info from all these different sources. Then you take bits and pieces and you make your own system. That is the key. And that's what people don't get. That's why I am so against, gurus and stuff saying, hey, just come learn my exact strategy and you're going to get rich. Because it's a big load of straight from the farm, grade A horseshit. It just doesn't work, So it doesn't work. And I'm curious to know, how did you build your system? Like, what was your process like? Did you ever change your system? How'd you build your system?
So I want to come back to that because I forgot to say one thing about the book. Going back to when I was first started trading, everything was like pre-recorded courses, and I never wanted to be that guy to sell a pre-recorded course. That was the main motivation behind the book as well.
Okay.
Because how many people can say, hey, I got a book? You know what I mean?
And two, I want you to answer the system question, but with pre-recorded courses, here's the thing: is I there is some good ones out there. I took Stock Market Lab by Umar. I really liked it.
The GOAT.
Right? I've taken a lot of pre-recorded courses, but the problem is, and if you're watching this, I have no problem with pre-recorded courses. Let me just say that, right? So if they're good, if they're from real profitable traders who have proven that to you, that's fine. What I don't like is the statistics. Like, if you look at the statistics of pre-recorded courses, the amount of people who actually finish them versus live courses like the Mastermind, interactive, fun, whatever, is very, very low. So I think that's a really cool motivation you had. Help more people, impact more people, get a book, get a hard copy, give it a hug, and all that good stuff. So system building.
Yes.
How did you build your system? What were some steps you took? What advice can you give to someone else looking to build their system like you or for their own?
Same way. Mentors, books, trial and error, figuring out what works for me. My swing trading strategy right now, a little bit adjusted from what it was in the book. I was using the 8 EMA, 21 EMA in the book, going through trial and error. 21 and 34 seemed to be better with the TTM squeeze. I didn't used to use the on-balance volume in my swing trading strategy either. But as I started learning more and more, back testing the on-balance volume, I was like, okay, this seems like it can really help me in my swing trading strategy. And then I implemented it. So it was continuing to learn from different people, different videos, mentors, all that good stuff. And then making my own strategy out of it and figuring out how to make it work for me.
And I love how simple you keep it. You're not sitting there saying there's some magical strategy. There's not some magical, pill to become a profitable trader. Trial and error, experience, mentors, which makes me very curious. What would you say was the hardest or some of the hardest things you had to overcome to make consistent money trading, to get through those hard times, and to become the trader and person you are today?
Yes. So hesitation and confidence were definitely the biggest. And to get over the hesitation, you got to build the confidence. If you don't have the confidence, you're going to hesitate in your trades. And to build the confidence, it's trial and error and doing it over and over and over again, going back, having that proven profitable system and having your rules, and only trade when you see those rules. So again, going back to the fibs, right? My highest probability is when we come back, we break through the fib, we reclaim, and that 1 minute time frame has heavy volume at that fib. I rarely hesitate when I see that. Now, if you just handed me a completely different strategy, maybe supply and demand isn't something I use too much, right? I might hesitate when I see that because it doesn't have that track record like the fibs do, if that makes sense.
You've seen the fibs work out thousands of times. So,
Yes.
Of course, you have confidence when you see it. That's why I always say, and I want to keep this on you and your system building. I'm always like, live trading is cool. We live trade every day in Team Bull. Signals are fine, whatever. But you're never going to become profitable long-term just taking signals. Let's say I'm a new trader and I'm listening to you. Obviously, you're a badass trader. If I hear Brandon say I'm getting in calls, I'm going to have no idea what the hell's going on. So the second I click that buy button, my armpits are like Niagara Falls, sweating. I'm nervous. I don't know how to manage the trade. If it goes against me, I'm screwed. I might have oversized. The point I'm trying to make is that you have to have conviction in the trade. Now, if I'm a good trader, I'm experienced, I know what I'm doing. Brandon says, hey, I'm watching calls, and I can look at that and be like, hey, you know what? I like this area. I see the rationale. I'm going to take calls too. Then you're in a better spot. Then you can utilize live trading. Then you can utilize ideas to better your education, to better, your sight on the market.
Yeah, and I want to say, we all trade live together in Team Bull. You and Grizzly are absolute beasts. Sometimes I'll trade with you guys. Sometimes I won't. It depends if I see my edge, because everybody's got different strategies. So if you ended up taking a put and I look at it, I'm like, I don't know why Jdun's inputs. I more than likely won't take that trade unless it fits my edge. Because if I just blindly take it because somebody else is in it, I'm not going to have that confidence if it starts to come back up against me a little bit. And I'm going to hesitate and I'm going to be like, all right, I got to get out now. You know what I mean? So,
and it's a big problem across the trading industry, that I think if you're watching this, please double down on your education. Whoever it's from, whether it's from us, whether it's from the next guy, whether it's from hopefully someone that can prove they're profitable. There's not many out there. Double down on the education. It's just so dang important. Mm-hmm. So in overcoming those hesitation and confidence issues, which I think are, very big issues for a lot of people, did you ever have a period in your trading when how I've described it for me? Let me describe it how it was for me. I want to see if you can relate. Monday, green 100. Tuesday, green 100. Wednesday, green 100. Thursday, red 800. And Friday, flat. Did you ever a period where you had small wins and big losses, or did you avoid that? Have you ever had periods that you went like that?
I never went through a period where I would lose the weekly profits, just because I've always been so risk adverse and trying to keep my losses as small as possible. The periods that I've had is, profitable Monday, Tuesday, and then I wouldn't follow my rules or something, and then red Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then maybe red on Monday again. So yes, a different variation in a way.
And honestly, out of all the problems traders have that I see, we talk to a lot of them in Team Bull, a lot of active members. That's the biggest problem I see. And you cannot become a profitable trader if you don't learn how to lose. For me, I don't want to say a big problem, but it definitely wasn't a little problem. I didn't like losing. I was from an athletic background, basketball, football. Like, no one likes to lose. So for me, my biggest obstacle was becoming the best loser. I say that phrase a lot. The best loser wins. Good book by Tom Hugard, by the way. Mm-hmm. But the best loser wins. How did you take that for yourself? We're going to wrap up here soon. How did you take that for yourself, and how did you really keep, even when you wanted to revenge trade so bad, you wanted to overtrade so bad, you wanted to hold that loser so bad, how have you consistently kept your losers small and, maintained that profitability?
So first thing was mastering sniper entries, which I really, really stress now, because if you have an area of interest and you zoom down to a smaller time frame, I really like to use a 1 minute to snipe my entry, because you can see exactly how price reacts to your area of interest. If you're able to get in at that specific area, as soon as we start trading on the opposite side, that's your invalidation point. And then that's where I'll get out of the trade. So it was mastering the sniper entries and going back to what we were discussing, how you would have green day, green day, green day, green day, and then a massive loss. For me, like I said, it was green day, red, red, red from not following my rules. But just knowing where my stop loss is and wanting to avoid the feeling of having a large loss because I held past my stop loss. That's why I stick to my stop loss rules, because, it could hit it, slightly go below, and then come back up and be a profitable trade. But, if you see that and you think, hey, the next time it goes below my stop loss, what if it does what it did the previous time and it comes back up and it's a green trade and you continue to hold, and then next thing you know, you're down 50, 60, 100%, which isn't a great feeling. So if it hits my stop loss, I don't care. I am out of the trade, and that's where discipline comes into play.
You keep holding, and your trading account turns into the Titanic.
Yes.
Just keep sinking. Now, mention timeframes. What timeframes do you use, and how do you find those sniper entries? Like, what's your trading process? What timeframes do you use? What has worked best for you?
So for day trading, I use the 5 minute, 10 minute, and 1 minute.
The 10 minute?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. That's just earlier in my trading career. That's what I was taught, was the 10 minute, and I never changed it. I've tried the 15 minute. I know you guys love to use it. I've never been able to use the 15 minute.
That's cool. So, trading isn't one size fits all. That's awesome.
Exactly. So yeah, 5 minute, 10 minute, and then I use the 1 minute to snipe my entry. Swing trades daily, weekly, maybe a 3-day time frame, and then I'll use a daily to confirm the entry.
And that's so cool, because every trader I know has a certain different system, right? Like me, I love the 5 minute. I am just a fanboy of the 5 minute, but I use the 2 minute for my sniper entry. Okay. Not to say that's better than the 1 minute, or the 1 minute's better than the 2 minute. It's just what I use, what I'm confident with. For you like the 1 minute for your sniper entry, and that's completely fine. So have you tried other time frames? Have you tried to implement like the 2 or the 5 or the 15 or the 30? And what's made you stick with what you're doing now?
I've tried the 3 minute. Wasn't really seeing much success with it. I really only tried the 3 minute because sometimes I would notice, I think this is a 5 minute bull flag forming or a 5 minute bear flag. And it would only do 2 candles and then, break up or down. So I was like, okay, let me try a smaller time frame. So I was like, all right, let me try a 3 minute. And then I used a 3 minute for a little bit, but other than that, I really wasn't liking it. So when I day trade, it's always been 5 and 10 minute. And then once I really started focusing on those sniper entries, that's when I started implementing the 1 minute time frame. And that's just what's worked.
And you're getting more and more confident with that every single day that you're looking at those. Mm-hmm. Do you use any of your indicators on different time frames, like the TTM squeeze, the OBV? Like, is there certain indicators that you use time frames on versus not on? And how does all that work with your trading?
Yeah, so swing trading, I use an on-balance volume, stochastic slow, TTM squeeze, 21 and 34 EMA. I only use the stochastic and on-balance volume and the 34 EMA for swing trading. Day trading is VWAP, 8 EMA, 21 EMA, and TTM squeeze. But on the 1 minute time frame, I only use the VWAP. I don't like looking at a 1 minute squeeze. I don't like looking at the 8 or 21 EMA on a 1 minute. I want those higher time frames. to use those kind of indicators. Now with the squeeze, the higher the time frame, the better. I like seeing it on the 5, 10, 30, maybe a 15-minute. If there is a 15-minute squeeze, I will look at the 15-minute. But yeah, it depends on what time frame there is a squeeze. And then that's when I'll use it.
And just experience. You see all these things, hey, I've seen this squeeze X amount of times in the 15-minute, but I've seen it a lot of times in the 5-minute. Therefore, this 5-minute is going to hold much more weight with me versus like the 15-minute. So you know what works and what doesn't, which, again, we're going to merry-go-round. Back to how you keep your trading so simple, trial and error, seeing what works, and not blowing it in the process of doing that. That's all super valuable stuff that I think a lot of people should really learn from you. So wrapping up here, you've said a lot of very valuable stuff today. You've had an incredible journey. It's been an awesome podcast so far, an hour plus packed, full of value. If you could leave every wonderful, wonderful person with us one last thing, one tip for their trading journey, their life journey, their journey to profitability, what would it be from Mr. Brandon Trades?
All right. Trading is hard. Whatever you're going to do in life, it is very hard. If you're trying to achieve your dreams, regardless, it will be hard. But when you have those tough times, understanding the bigger picture should keep you motivated, and those hard times are going to teach you a lot. Like when I go through trading slumps, at the time they suck, but every single time I come out of them, I become a better trader. So embrace those periods of slumps, because you'll always come out more profitable, a better trader, or whatever it may be in life.
The slumps breed success.
Yes.
Losses create legends. That's another one I like too. I think everything you just said is so powerful and just so true. Just so raw. A lot of people say, trading is easy. Buy my course and you'll quit your 9 to 5 in the next 30 days. I saw an ad the other day that was like, buy my course, and if you don't quit your job within the next 90 days, it's free. Like, what are you talking about? like, what the hell is the internet allowing these days? It's horseshit. But back to topic. Everything you say is just so valuable. It's so true. It's so proven. And it's been awesome having you here. So in conclusion, to wrap up, this man has over 1,000 free videos on his YouTube. He's so close to 50K. Hopefully by the time you see this, he's over it. But if not, make sure you guys go slam that subscribe at Brandon Trades. So much value, so much love there. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on this channel. We both teach tons for free. He is live on YouTube every single morning around 8 a.m. Eastern time. Has an amazing show there. And overall, wants to see you win. Even more than all this trading stuff, all this money stuff, genuinely good person. Genuinely wants to see you win. And that's the type of people that you should be surrounding yourself with if you want to make money long-term in this industry. So with all that said, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you taking the time to come to Colorado, and let's keep making people money in Team Bull.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me. I appreciate everybody watching this.
Yes, sir. Well, until next time, part 2. We even talked about you, Grizzly, GD, and myself hopping on a round table. So if you want to see that happen, I want to see at least 200 comments below and over 500 likes on this video. If we get there, if I see the love down below in the comment section, Grizzly, GD, Brandon, and myself will hop on a round table. It will be glorious. It will be value-filled. And, you might just expedite your learning process by years, hopefully. I don't know the time frame, but it'll be glorious. So comment below if you want to see that. Tap in, and let's get rich together the Team Bull way. Have a blessed day.